I bring to you for your consideration some thoughts, and I present them to you in the presentation of looking at how you see things, maybe from just a slightly different point of view. So, for your consideration, consider matter. Now, matter is a collection of molecules. We see it all around us. You can do it right now. Touch your hands. Your fingers are sensing the fact that you are touching actual molecules. Matter in its purest state is motionless. I'm not sure if you ever really thought about that. Matter is a stationary energy until friction takes place. Now, as we see things around us and as we begin to understand that matter, as many of us who have been raised on science fiction have shown in using transporting devices, breaking down substance to its individual component molecules. Consider mind, your mind. Now, many have a very difficult time defining what their mind is. But consider this: the mind is essentially trapped within a matter substance called a body. That's where you and I reside. As long as we're into this plane of existence, our minds are trapped within matter. And it's very well defined what this matter is, in this case, body. Now consider body. Body is nothing more than a collection of molecules that are attracted to one another, being held together not through gravity, but through the cohesion of attraction of energy. Now, I don't know if you've thought about this, but matter is substance. It's substantive. It has mass. And when you break it down, it's not the gravity that keeps matter together, our bodies together. It's through the cohesion of attraction of energy. Matter within itself remains at rest. There is no energy expelled by cohesion itself. When friction between molecules of opposite polarity meet, matter becomes disturbed and energy is released. And this energy is of the same intensity that, if you believe the current theories, let's say of the Big Bang, it's the same thing. It's the same energy. It's a matter as to how it is released that makes the difference. Now consider mind. The mind within itself acts on the matter of one's body to producing motion of matter and spirit within. Spirit cannot move of itself. It requires mind, which, while in the body, is a slave to matter. However, the body is as well a slave to both matter and mind, for it needs mind to move it. it is absolutely, I think, beyond most of our appreciation to comprehend what we live in and within. We go through all of our lives pursuing careers, education, relationships, and we never are truly mindful of the real purpose of us being here. And most, sadly, will enter into this plane and exit out of this plane, never realizing or even imagining that this was part of the lesson for them to have been here to begin with. It's all the reason for us to be here. We do not consider mind. We take it for granted. We take it so, oh, how shall we say, que sera, sera. And it's to all of our own detriments. Now consider mind force. I know this is a term may not have heard before. Humanity is destined to discover that mind force acts on pure space motion, moving itself and matter with it without any exertion of a material body. Consider this image in your mind. Imagine, if you would, I guess the best way to say it would be a sheen of water, not like a waterfall, but just a sheen of water that is covering over a surface. And it's so thin and so delicate that if you put your finger in it, it disrupts the whole pattern. Now imagine yourself that is a ribbon of energy, energy that you and I, mankind, has not yet even fathomed, at least to put it into practicality. The amazing thing is the fact that you and I are even discussing this means that its advent is very soon to make itself known. So again, imagine this sheen of water. That's pure energy. Now imagine yourself that you are a neutral proton. You're riding on this. And by the exertion of thought alone, you can move across this sheen at ease and at speeds that would be absolutely incomprehensible. That's what mind force does. Mind force attracts, by the motion of thought, matter. For matter is always seeking attraction, and thought always seeks matter. Matter exists in both the seen and the unseen. It is a constant, much like the energy life force is constant. It's not always visible, but it's always present. And when you begin to realize that this is you, I'm talking about your mind force. When you begin to understand how this force works within you, it works all the time, even on the most low voltage, crudest, restricted level. It's just the nature of what you and I are. So again, understand, mind force attracts by the motion of thought, matter. For matter is always seeking attraction, and thought always seeks matter. Now, let's consider gravity. We only understand one strand of gravity. In fact, we're learning all the time about gravity. It's a unique force, and it is something that still mystifies us. There exists a place where gravity works nothing like we have been taught. It acts much differently. It is subservient to other laws. These laws humanity has yet to discover. We see the faint vestiges of this soon to be known reality. It is going to make itself known. We're already discovering it, as I said, on the fringe. When matter has reached a plane where it no longer has weight, but yet has not changed its substance. In other words, the cohesion is still there on the molecule level. It hasn't changed. It just no longer has weight. There is no force that can be exerted upon it. Thus, gravity is equalized. Now, when you reach this place of where gravity is equalized, it takes on a whole new set of physics, a whole new set of laws of the universe that we have yet to comprehend. But it does exist, for we see the result of this understanding in our material lives every day. Now consider mind again. When mind is free from exercising its influence on a brain and indirectly on physical matter, which is a material body, it takes a tremendous amount of energy in that process. When the mind force is free of gravity that constrains matter while in its influence, mind force will exert its action through energy on matter itself. In this space, matter is subservient to mind force. It's much like how quantum computing is done today. We now understand certain principles of physics, of the physical laws, that when we get into certain created environments, many of those laws are no longer applicable. It's much like levitation. When you begin to understand how you can begin to alter magnetic fields, magnetic currents, electricity, electromagnetic influences. And what we've yet to understand individually is the amazing mind force that's worked within us, even in the constraints of matter, which is our bodies, and the fact that we live within an environment heavily dictated by the principle of gravity. Now, many people think that their bodies are held together because of gravity. No, not at all. But there are certain laws and principles at work that we operate every day in. We're just not mindful of it. Now, the mind thus creates a comprehensive reality, and matter will attach to this reality. This mind force will create a being by the mind force alone. It's amazing what we possess, folks. We're just so constrained in how we are developed while we're here. And I'm sharing this with you because I believe many of you who are going to watch this, this is going to bring epiphanies. It's going to bring breakthroughs. I really do believe this wholeheartedly, many of you are going to start seeing things in a totally different way. Now, consider matter again. There is a condition that exists of a frictionless medium where only mind can exist. It is called pure mind. It is an energy that is capable of disturbing the equilibrium of matter itself. In this realm, matter is perceived as dead matter, which obeys the mind of the spiritual. Spiritless matter is subservient to the demands of the intelligence. We're so unbalanced in our perceptions of ourselves. Some think mostly spirit, some think mostly body, some think that it's in between, and thus they try to raise and balance the bar on the thing called the mind. But yet, we struggle to understand what the mind is. We struggle in trying to comprehend and determine what we see and how does that relate to the journey of life itself. We have to begin to understand that there are so many foundational principles that we go through all of our lives again, never comprehending, or we get so unbalanced in one area and it completely upsets for decades or maybe forever, at least in this plane. What I'm trying to say to you is that you are a creative intelligence, a sentient being. You're creating all the time, and understand the elements from which you are creating can begin to change your life. Now consider body again. Our bodies are but a first step to a much brighter future. Our bodies are to be our first step in mastering the mind force. The mind force within is to gain supremacy over the matter, which is body. When this is achieved, the mind becomes ready to ascend, which is spirit. When you achieve this, and I dare say, if you're listening to my voice, probably you haven't, I haven't, endeavoring to do so, but we have to have knowledge, folks, a knowledge that is not readily available, that is not taught publicly, and is not discussed as acceptance. But if we ever get to the point where you learn the first lesson is to master the material, the matter, which is body, you and I and the rest of humanity will be ready to ascend. Finally, consider the following. Whatever seems to be is not, and that which seems not to be is. Facts are fallacy. As we gain more knowledge, think about the facts that were absolutes less than 50 years ago. Physical existence is a delusion surrounded by an illusion. Most of us sense this already. Mortal bliss is impossible to be obtained. If we would just figure that out, no person can ever be satisfied. You will never be completely satisfied. It's impossible. The very creation of what you are makes it impossible. For the day should ever happen that you are completely satisfied you have met the true eternal death. I thank you for listening. I appreciate it. May we all continue to grow together. May we all continue to share each other's experiences on this journey. And may we all learn together to reach that next level. All right, folks, be kind to one another.